Hello, everyone. Welcome to Measuring the Score podcast, the podcast where we offer our opinions on film scores and the films they're inspired by. I'm Chris.
And I'm Leslie.
Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Measuring the Score. And today, I'm very excited, Leslie. You know why I'm excited?
Why are you excited?
Because we're talking about a Tim Burton horror film.
Oh, I thought maybe you were excited about our guest.
Well, I am excited about our guest, but I'm excited about talking about, because our guest is very excited about this too. He tried to come on a day early.
Oh.
He did. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and just get straight into this because I'm excited to have him on here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Josh from Twist My Arm podcast.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I am so happy to be here. I'm really excited to talk about this movie and the score and just to be on with you guys, man. You guys were just on Sudden But Inevitable a couple weeks ago and just made me realize how much I need to be on your show.
Well, we were on your show. You interviewed us. I think it was sometime last year, and after that, man, I was like, all right, this guy's like really cool. We got to invite him on our show.
He had
Definitely.
Grogu in the background.
Yeah. Josh was so awesome.
Was that?
Yeah, you had Grogu in the background.
Yep, remember that now?
I think I had the green screen was up.
Yep.
I had the Grogu sitting on a chair.
Yes.
So he was like floating in space, I think.
Yep, that's
that
what it
was cool.
All right, so Josh, real quick, tell our listeners all about you, the Twist My Arm podcast network, and where they can find you.
Oh man, I started podcasting a long time ago, and it started as a podcast, just the Twist My Arm podcast, and over the years, it's kind of evolved into this network. It's now just the Twist My Arm network, and we have six to eight different shows on the network. They're not all running at the same time, but there's always something coming from us. You got the Sudden But Inevitable podcast with good old Jesse and Ricky, where we talk about old series that didn't last as long as they should have. Usually it's just one season series like Firefly or Cowboy Bebop, something like that. I mean, we got things for Star Wars, for Marvel. There's a tabletop guy on there. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. And you can find all of that, all of our podcasts and all of our different blogs and things at twistmyarm.net. That actually changed. If anyone knows us that's listening, that website changed. It used to be twistmyarmpodcast.com, but then it was like, well, it's not really a podcast anymore, so we should probably change that up. So now it's twistmyarm.net.
Okay.
And that'll take you to everything. All of our shows, our store, all that stuff. So
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
That's I guess that's kind of the gist of it. I don't know, man. It's just a bunch of nerdy stuff. That's all.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with nerdy stuff.
There's
all right.
nothing wrong with being a nerd.
I mean, that's why we all got along. Yeah, that's why we got along so well, man. Because
we're all nerds.
Yeah, exactly.
Old nerds.
In some way or the other, right? There's and everyone's got their own little corner of nerddom that they sit in, I feel like.
That's right. Connected to the same table.
Exactly. Now, Josh,
yeah.
Real quick. Now we had a whole list written out for season 2, and we're sitting there talking about it and everything else. And when we said Sleepy Hollow, you got very excited.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Man, Sleepy Hollow is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I don't know why. I think it's just I was young when it came out. I'm kind of young, it came out in 99 and I was 11, and it was kind of at the point in time where I was like, I'm gonna watch anything that I possibly can, any horror movie that I can, anything. And Sleepy Hollow was one of them. And I always liked the original story from it too, just Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman, and that first trailer that came out, which is funny because I went on the special features today and watched the trailer that originally came out before.
Right.
And today I was like, wow, this is hot garbage. I would never see this movie today.
Did you
But
ever
back
see
then, you're like,
Did you ever see the Disney cartoon?
a long time ago?
Yeah.
And that has. I mean, I know that has a big part of why I wanted to see this movie and why I loved it so much. I might have also had a little bit of a crush on Christina Ricci when I was younger. So.
Yeah. Well, now we'll talk about this in the film, the whole thing between Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci. But I remember the reason why I interrupted you there, because we're talking about the cartoon. I remember the cartoon scaring the crap out of me. It really did. The Disney cartoon. No. See, you're laughing. And see, the Disney cartoon scared the living crap out of me. And I'm like, if the Disney cartoon can do this, I wonder how the movie's going to be.
Well, luckily the movie was kind of comedic. It's
right.
Like watching it, especially as an adult. Like I was young, so when I was young, I got a little bit scared. But now I'm like, oh my god, the blood looks like the candle wax that they used to seal the envelopes.
They had to do it that way because they used a blue filter. So because they used a blue filter, they had to use orange blood in order to make it red. So that's why it looks overly red, because of the blue filter they filmed with. Does that make sense now?
Makes so much sense now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's very red.
It is.
Right.
It's like Kool-Aid red.
It's very orange.
All right. So, of course, on the show, the way we do is we talk about the score first. So the score was written by, it's a Tim Burton movie. So naturally, who do you have? Danny Elfman. And now, that just goes hand in hand with him and Beetlejuice.
Really? Had to bring Beetlejuice in.
If you're talking about Tim Burton and Danny Elfman, of course, I'm going to mention Beetlejuice. It's either Beetlejuice or Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh.
I got a question for you guys. How many Danny Elfman scores have you reviewed?
This is actually we did a composer showcase on Danny
Elfman,
but we have not talked about.
Okay, that's right.
Right. This is our first Danny Elfman score. I think
maybe that's why I remembered you liking him so much, was because of the showcase.
Oh, I am so sorry.
That's where it was. Nightmare.
My bad.
Yep,
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I am a terrible host. I'm just going to
are.
hang my hat up right now. I quit. I'm done.
I actually got that one right for once. Gold star for me.
So this is the third one, though.
Yeah, this is the third. This is the third subject. Be quiet over there. This is the third subject that we've had.
I'm right for once.
Okay, you got a brownie point. Okay, that's it. We're done.
This has made my day.
Now I'm going to have to hear about this all night long.
No, for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Sorry, man.
Jeez. See, this is what happens.
I didn't mean to bring that upon you.
This is all your fault, Josh, because you picked Sleepy Hollow. So now I'm going to deal with this for the rest of my life. I'm going to constantly message you and be like, Leslie brought it up again tonight. Thank you so much, Josh.
I'll just text Leslie and be like, get it.
I'll send him a picture of a headless horseman.
Yeah. Man. So, I just lose tonight all the way around.
What I like about this score, I wrote down 3 keywords that describe this score's entirety. And that is chorus, bells, and bass. You hear a lot of chorus, you hear a lot of bells, and there are a lot of bass tones in the score.
I would say a lot of chorus, bells, and brass. A lot of low brass.
Okay, brass, bass, tomato, tomato.
Well, no, that's your list. My list is chorus,
it's such a.
Go ahead.
It's such a gothic score too. Like it's all goth. Like it's not very, to me, like when you listen to Nightmare Before Christmas or like Batman or something, it's a little more jumpy. I know we've talked about it before where Danny Elfman's like a little bit jumpy.
A little whimsical sound.
Whimsical, exactly. Yes. And this one is so much more, I don't know, dark. It's different from a normal Danny Elfman score.
Now, he's still got whimsical elements in there. I mean, it's still there. It's
just not as much.
Right. It's more the way I was thinking about it, because I was trying to figure out in my head coming home today. I was trying to figure out, how am I going to describe this score? You can't say it's a full-on horror score, because it's not. It's Danny Elfman, so it has those moments in there where it's kind of quirky, whimsical, and everything else. I would say whimsical horror with a leaning more towards gothic horror, because like the opening part with Martin Landau's character, where he's driving in the carriage, and you got the organs coming in, you got the choir coming in, you got the low brass and the oboe and everything else coming in there. And when you hear that on the score, it's just everything's the choir, the brass, the strings, everything's sweeping. It's always, swelling and then, crescendoing and then decrescendoing.
He utilizes that in parts to create movement. So you've got, your main antagonist rather, is this headless horseman that's on a horse. And so, he uses some of those sweeping elements to create movement, the horse movement, that sort of thing. I feel like he really did a good job of utilizing the bass instruments in order to create tension. You know how some composers will create tension with silence, especially in the horror genre. They'll utilize that silence, they'll amp it up, and it creates tension within the score. But I think Elfman did it with those bass tones. And not only did he do it with the bass tones, he had layers of bass tones. So within the tension, he had movement. So it was movement and tension. And then I noticed that he had these higher octaves that would come in that blended lovely, but it added a sense of wonder. So, in some of these scenes, especially when you see Ichabod, when we talk about the movie, you see Ichabod and his mom, or, Ichabod and Katrina, you've got this lovely element that comes into play. That's kind of, wonderment. And he utilizes those higher octaves to create that. So, that's my best way of trying to describe the whole score in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, and it works. Well, Josh, what was your, what was your emotion? What did you feel listening to the score?
Oh, so, okay.
Sorry to kind of put you on the spot, buddy.
But you're a guest.
Well, no, but I did a lot of good, I feel like I did a lot of good research. Once you hear it, you might not think so. But so I was driving around, like I just moved across states this last week, and I listened to a lot of the soundtrack doing that. And so I got a lot of good insight. But I also listened to the soundtrack before I even watched the movie.
Okay.
Which I like to do sometimes, unless it's Star Wars Episode 1, when they do some crazy spoiling stuff. But I like to listen to the soundtracks before I watch the movies, because you can kind of get a feel for what's going on, and then when you're watching the movie, you're like, oh yeah, I really like this song, and my biggest thing is I really love the like Ichabod serenade every time that he's got like a meaningful moment or something. And I didn't realize that was his serenade until I actually watched the movie again, because listening to the music, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. But then I had another weird thing with it, because today I watched the movie and then I went back and listened to the soundtrack while I was reading. And I was reading a Star Wars book, because I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird to I don't know if you've ever put Danny Elfman to Star Wars, but it doesn't work.
I'll have to try that.
I think there was a joke on what was it? Oh man, Family Guy, Blue Harvest, where it's like, the aunt and uncle were killed and everything else, and he's like, oh no, there goes John Williams and the orchestra. Now we got to score the rest of the movie with Danny Elfman, and it cuts over to somebody, like, and all of a sudden Luke just shoots him.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But otherwise, I absolutely love this one, and pretty much everything about this movie. Like, this movie is, I guess I shouldn't give my rating quite yet, but it is very, very much high on my rating scale. And a lot of it has to do with that music, and a lot of it is because it's Danny Elfman, you can tell, but again, it's different, and it sucks you into this movie really quick. And anytime that there's some sort of mystery in the movie, for instance, I think one of my favorite scenes is when they're at the tree, and they first get to the tree, and then the music starts, or it gets really loud when they show that out pan of the tree.
Oh yeah.
And they do that a lot. Like, he does that a lot in this movie, where it's like a reveal, it's like the second they reveal the horseman, there's some loud horns, and then even to go as far as revealing Danny Elfman's name in the credits at the very beginning. You're watching and they say Danny Elfman on the screen, the music gets really intense for a second. Like, yes, this is Danny Elfman's score.
And
they do that throughout. I love that.
I'm not gonna lie. A lot of composers do that. I mean, I know I've done it. You know, I'll sit there and score some opening titles. My name comes up, I'll put like a little extra note in there, a
Little flourish.
little instrument in there, an extra choir or something, just to say, "Oh, there's me."
Right.
There's a lot.
I feel like that would be in my contract if I ever did that. I'd be like, listen, if I'm going to make this, like, you're going to put my name right here at this point of the song because that's the best part.
I made it for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
If you cut this, guess what? You cut me.
So, Josh, you did pick up on the kind of reoccurring motifs when you mentioned Ichabod's motif. He's got thing that I noticed is that he's got kind of a few reoccurring motifs. One is with Ichabod. One was Ichabod and his mother. And then you have, Ichabod and Katrina. And then you have the horseman. He's got his own, to me, motif. So when you hear that song, especially at the tree, Chris and I were listening to that piece earlier today. And when they're at the tree, and if you listen to the piece, you can hear kind of like the horseman's motif kind of interwoven in there, as the music progresses. So, you did hit the nail on the head. I noticed these motifs as well, as we were listening to the score.
Yeah, that's some of my favorite thing about these kind of movies, where they actually bring in a composer to do music for the entire movie. I love that, because then a big reason why I'm a huge Star Wars fan is because of the music, because of the fact that everyone's got their own kind of piece, and it's beautiful the way that a lot of these composers do it. And Danny Elfman is no slouch. He's a pro. He's great at it.
No, he really is. And Sleepy Hollow is a perfect example of that, because not only does, when the score starts in and, just listening to the score on its own, it sucks you in. There's never a moment where you're wanting to cut it off. You're never wanting to stop it. You're never wanting, because I noticed that today, especially like toward the end of the soundtrack, when you get to the windmill, especially the windmill part. I think the windmill is when I really noticed it. When that score starts up, it's very big. There's a lot going on and everything, and it just kept going. And then next thing you know, I was in like 3 tracks later on, and I didn't even pay attention to it that 3 tracks have already went. They were all blended so well that I was like, oh, I thought it was the same score track. No. They've more tracks have happened. And
we've talked about this in the past about continuity. There are scores that you can sit down. And it's like old school classical music. You can listen to it in its entirety, and it sounds like one piece of music. It's great. But there are scores that we've kind of reviewed in the past. For example, Beverly Hills Cops, for one. You can't listen to that in its entirety. It's like pieces jumping all over the place, and then it's repeat pieces. And so, this score is kind of very old schoolish as far as, the continuity. It sounds like one composition. If I was an orchestra, I'd sit down, start, finish, one piece. And I like that too about musical scores, the continuity of it.
Yeah, and it was really good. I liked that he did that. And I remember watching the film, and there was one track that he has coming up every so often. It's more like it's kind of hard to describe. It was like it sounded like a flute with some horns, and it was mainly when the horseman was attacking somebody. It was like dun 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 dun.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It almost like Bernard Herrmann's Psycho Strings, which was very popular at the time because of Marco Beltrami with Scream and Scream 2, and that's what it sounded like. And I was like, that was very unique. That was very different. It was the one track I believe is called the Church Attack. Where you really hear it. And I was like, I remember watching the film going, that's very unique. I like that. It sounds a little like Psycho, but at the same time, it's Danny Elfman. I mean, it's just no other way to describe it.
I love the choirs that he's got in this too.
Yes.
All that gothic vocalization in this movie is incredible. And it starts at the very beginning. And a lot of the vocalization comes in when you see young Ichabod.
Yes.
And his mom and stuff. And it's so good. And I can't really think of another Elfman score. I guess I'd have to go watch movies, but I can't think of another one where he uses a lot of chorus like that.
He uses a lot of choir in a lot of his scores, but I think with Sleepy Hollow, he really went over the top with the choir. I mean, because I know Beetlejuice has got some choir in there. Alice in Wonderland.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland was one of them that definitely has a lot of choir. Now
I forgot about Alice in Wonderland.
That was a great score. I had
Yes.
never listened to that score, except for watching the film and when we did the showcase on Danny Elfman, and the Alice theme come in there, and I'm going, wow, this was this is a heck of a theme. How come I've never listened to this? So I sat there and listened to the whole score just because of that theme, but no, he does use a lot of choir, but they're not as predominant like they are in this score. What was it Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory? Yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's what it was. The weird Johnny.
Well,
Depp
I don't
one.
think you can count Oompa Loompas as the choir. Maybe that's just me, but
Maybe in the old version.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a musical. They're singing and dancing. We've talked about in the past choir and the utilization of that in scores, and that, you can use choir to have an uplifting sound. You can use choir, to make you sound triumphant. You can also use choir to sound, in horror, especially, those creepy tones that make things sound ominous. And, he utilizes it in that respect. There is a whimsical nature to the choir, but on the flip side, a lot of the use for the choir he uses it to build that tension and suspense. He adds that to the bass line.
He balances it very well. He uses choir for wonderment, for mystery, for horror, all in this one score, and he'll switch between those different genres right then and there in just one track, in one score cue. Now that's kind of hard to do. Not a lot of composers can pull that off. I know I couldn't do it if I had, was asked to do that. I'd be like, no.
So there is one piece that I did
and pull it off the way that he did too. Sorry.
No. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're definitely right.
I was just saying, just to pull it off the way that he did too, because I think most composers could do it, but to do it as well as he did was fantastic.
Yeah, and it was really blended. It was blended nice.
Mm-hmm.
There was one piece that I did want to talk about, and that is the piece with the witch scene. So, up until then, you hear all these brass, and you hear all these low brass, and you hear, bells and some of these moving pieces. But then when you got into the piece for the witches scene, there was this wonderful violin riff that came out of nowhere. And it was magical. I loved it. I thought it was great. And I'm like, Chris, I don't remember which part of the movie that is. And he's like, oh, I think that's when, the other possessed her. But it was a violin, sound. And I just absolutely thought it was just wonderful. I liked it.
It was kind of that like screeching violin sound, wasn't it? Like
it was different.
That psycho-esque kind of thing going on.
Yeah, and it was very different than what you've heard, previous in the score.
No, he's done something.
I mean, that witch was really different. That's for sure.
Now, Danny Elfman's done something similar to that with another score. It was Dolores Claiborne. That entire score. That entire score is the weird violin sound that you hear there. And it was Dolores Claiborne was before Sleepy Hollow.
Have you ever watched that movie?
No, I haven't. I've only heard the score. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never seen the movie.
I actually seen that one. Surprised.
That is surprising because it's Stephen King. Wow.
I like.
Well, I actually never even heard of it. So.
It's got Kathy Bates in it.
Yeah, it's got Kathy Bates. It's got not Misery, but it's the other one that she was in, and
I think takes place in Maine.
Oh,
it was cold climate.
Most of them. Let's say all Stephen King.
Yeah,
I know.
Just about all of them, except for Maximum Overdrive. That's North Carolina.
I've never seen that one.
Okay.
I've never seen that one.
You've never seen Maximum Overdrive? Oh my god!
I just saw a trailer for a new Firestarter movie.
Yes,
which is interesting
cool.
because John Carpenter is doing the score for that.
John Carpenter, the director?
Yes, John Carpenter, the director. He's not directing the movie, but he is scoring the movie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was my. I was like going, wait, what? I'm like, okay, I'm
different.
I'm there for it. Let's do it. Let's see how this is gonna sound. So yeah.
Huh.
All right, so back to Danny Elfman.
We regress.
Yeah.
Sorry, I am the king of derailing. I should have
No. That's what
We
I'm
both
sorry.
have ADD. We will go off on tangents and never get back. We never get back.
we do it all the time. I mean, you've listened to our show. We go off and
Yeah.
So now, Sleepy Hollow was released November 17th, 1999, and it made $207 million at the box office.
Good Lord.
As I mentioned before, everything was filmed with a blue filter, so like blood had to have been really orange in order to create that red color. And Tim Burton said that Johnny Depp is one of his best fainters. He says that he does great fainting on screen. And you'll appreciate this, Josh. 3 Darth Lords were in this movie.
Oh, do you want me to name them?
Yes, please.
Go for it.
Please
Go
do
for
so.
it.
I believe so. You got Emperor Palpatine,
Mm-hmm.
and you got Count Dooku.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And are we talking Dark Lords from like Harry Potter?
No. Yeah. No. There's another Darth Lord on there.
Holy cow! Who am I missing right now? It wasn't Ray Park, was it?
No.
There's no way.
Although
No, Christopher Lee,
Ray Park.
Ian McDiarmid.
Yeah. No, he was in there. Darth Maul.
Yeah, Darth Maul was in there.
He was a stuntman for the Horsemen.
He
okay.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
Notice that he does this. The Horseman in one of the scenes does this twirling.
He does
thing
the flips.
and you're like, that looks familiar. Yeah.
I think most of the scenes where it was the Horseman without the head, I think that was mainly Ray Park. If I remember, because I remember the behind the scenes where they were talking about how they had the actor or the stuntman with the green screen over his head, where you wouldn't see it, and then where there was like a weird digital thing happening, so they had to add in a collar, like a computer generated collar, to block out something. So it was like whenever you would see the Horseman, they had to add in the digital collar every time you saw it. I'm going, boy, that had to be a pain in the butt to animate that every 5 seconds.
That's why they make the big buck.
Exactly.
God, there was, that's funny because there were so many. I didn't realize when I was 11 years old that there were so many actors in this.
Oh yeah.
And I guess it's been a minute since I've seen this, because not only do you have Emperor Palpatine, Darth Maul, and Count Dooku, but you have like Harry Potter characters.
That's right.
You have Uncle Dursley and like
Dumbledore.
And I mean, who else? There's so many people in this.
Then you got Alfred.
Casper Van Dyne, like
Starship Troopers,
like everybody.
You got Alfred from Batman.
Yep.
Which he actually.
That's right. He was the guy with the eye.
Yeah, Notary Hardenbrook.
Yes. Yeah.
Hardenbrook. Oh, I thought you said book. Hardenbrook. I'm like,
no, Hardenbrook. Jeez, man. No.
Like, I'm confused.
She corrects you one time and it's all over.
I know. See? Yep, I'm gonna have to deal with this for the rest of my life now. So
wonderful.
On his tombstone. I was right.
That's okay. I beat you in Mario Kart 8, so we're fine.
Quiet.
Oh man, them's fighting words right there.
No, we'll have to tell you the story about us dating in Mario Kart.
Yeah. All right, but no.
Ooh, that sounds like a podcast for sure.
Oh, it definitely is. It'll be an entire episode just of that. But no. The actor that played Notary Hardenbrook, he came out of retirement just for this. Tim Burton. Tim Burton asked him to come in and do this, and he agreed to do it, which was funny because I wrote this down.
Yeah, I pointed it out to Chris, and Chris is like, "Oh my goodness!"
When you see Hardenbrook, he says something about seeing is believing, and he's got one eye basically. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like that's.
Like, Chris, look, he's got one eye, and he's saying seeing is believing. Isn't that ironic?
I actually found that funny. After she pointed it out, I'm like, okay, that's pretty funny. That's kind of clever.
You talk about
wasn't that I think that was in the trailer
yes.
too, where I mean the two big things of the trailer I remember were heads will roll, and seeing is believing.
And I think heads will
the
roll
guy
is
said
ad-lib.
that.
Was it?
Yeah.
I
think
thought Heads Will Roll was like on everything.
It
like
was. It was on the
posters,
poster.
Or she said, "Watch out for your head." I think maybe.
Yeah, no,
which
That
yeah,
might
that's,
have been
least
ad-lib.
favorite
yeah.
part. Least favorite part of the movie when she's trying to do her little one-liner.
Watch your
Like,
head.
Just shut up.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
shut up.
Watch your head. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So, you talked earlier about it, seeing some funny funny parts in there. And, I didn't notice how comical the very beginning was, where you have Ichabod standing there in front of the court. And, they're bringing the guy in and they throw him down the chute, and he's like, just burn. I'm like, to me, that's kind of dark comedy. I'm like, that's pretty funny in a way. Or just walk. What did he do? Nothing, and he obviously the cops beat him up. What happened?
Right.
Oh, nothing. They took him away.
There's a bunch of that when Depp walks out from checking out the pregnant lady and he's just covered in blood.
Oh,
and he's like,
yeah.
well,
we are dealing with a
You're like, well, this is
madman, and
kinda
they're
funny.
looking at him.
Like
They're
he's a
looking at him. He's like,
madman.
covered,
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
yeah, we kind of are dealing with a madman there.
the
buddy.
glasses that he wears that make his eyes all huge. Like
Oh,
Chris's
that was
favorite
there's a
part-
bunch of funny stuff in this.
Chris's favorite part,
which
is
one?
the where he's
Oh,
kind of scared like a
oh.
little boy in the corner after he fainted.
where he first he realizes that the
Oh,
horseman
yeah.
is real, and then Johnny Depp's reaction
It's
where
real.
he's like,
it's real.
You don't understand. It's real. It was a horseman, and he was headless, and it's all true.
It's all true.
And my favorite reaction of that is how calm Dumbledore is when he's like, "Yeah, we told you that, man. Like,
we know.
It's
Now
exactly
you're
what
on
we
the
said
same
was going to
page
happen."
we are on.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I swear, when Johnny Depp fell backwards when he fainted again, and he hit his head against the wall, every time I watch it, every single time I watch it, I'm going, "Ow!" It looks like it hurt.
Yeah, I think it said that he
Ow.
fainted about 5 times in the movie, if I remember the trivia correctly. 5 times.
You got a concussion. That's funny.
He fainted in real life.
So
That was not a faint. That was a concussion.
So the first thing I noticed when the movies started up, we had the music immediately. Chris and I have talked about this, and all the movies that we've watched that we really like, you immediately have music at the very beginning. And this one was no exception. You mentioned that you saw Danny Elfman's name pop up, and you hear this special flourish, like Danny Elfman,
Yeah.
And but you can hear that first score piece. It played from the very beginning of the movie, and then those pieces played throughout the film.
Well, that was something Tim Burton likes. Tim Burton likes
Right.
music to start up at the very beginning of the movie. That was in the trivia I found.
The music in itself is a movie, like it's its own
Exactly.
thing.
Right.
And if you line that up, it's, it should be the exact same length of the movie. Like I've always, again, Star Wars, John Williams, all that stuff. John Williams is always about that from start to finish. There's some sort of music playing, and Danny Elfman does the same thing. So I love that. I love the classical aspect to it of making sure there's something behind every scene,
There were some scenes. I remember the beginning because I know the score starts up and everything else, and then you got the whole scene with Martin Landau dying at the very beginning, and you get that awesome pumpkin scarecrow, which looked amazing, straight up Nightmare Before Christmas looking head. I swear that was Jack Skellington there for a moment. And then you get the whole main title sequence where you got Jep, Johnny Depp, Jep. I call him Jep.
Jip,
Wow.
good old Jip.
Oh, good old Jep.
Watch that movie with that Jip guy.
Wow. Okay, I'm tired. Okay, it's been a long day.
Same here, dear.
So
Same here.
Jep's gonna come out. All right. Jep. That's gonna be the title of this
I'm just going to
episode.
call all the characters by their other characters' names, like Dumbledore and Palpatine and
And then you
those
got
guys.
Jep's over there in the corner.
Yeah.
Sauron.
Sauron, yeah.
Sauron.
Exactly.
Christopher Lee.
Uncle, I'll just call Uncle Dursley.
Yeah, there we go.
Just call Uncle.
Jip.
Anyways, when you first see Jep, no, that opening sequence
Good
though.
old Jep.
When,
He's lost it. We've lost him.
oh yeah, I can't even finish this now. My whole train of thought just got derailed by Jep. Thanks, Jep.
Johnny Depp, Jip, I get it. Okay, you're missing some syllables in the middle, but I get it.
Oh man, I'm not sure if the listeners get it.
He's just doing
point.
what the cool kids do.
He
and
abbreviated.
abbreviating. That's
That's
all.
right.
I'm pretty sure our listeners cut it off by now, and they're like, "Jep, who's Jep?" Okay, no, he doesn't.
And
know
he's
what
gonna have a symbol.
You're
for it
starting
with
a
text.
trend, is what you're doing.
Hashtag
what's it?
Jep.
Hashtag Jip.
Hashtag save,
Follow Johnny
save,
Depp at Jep.
Hashtag save Jep. Fantastic Beasts 3.
Okay, Chris.
Wow. All right. So
Hey, Tim.
the sequence at the very
we've lost it.
beginning, we have Johnny Depp. When you first see him and you get the whole backdrop, that was the only thing to me that did not age very well. You could tell that there was a painting back there. When you see it, it says the year 1779, and you can see the clouds back there. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, yeah, that didn't age very well. You can tell that's a painting.
Yeah, but the rest of it is really practical. They did practical effects. You could see that, and if I remember correctly from the trivia, everything was done almost on a stage. They created, they created the town. It's not a real town, even though Sleepy Hollow was a real place. But they created the backstage for the movie.
Now, the script was written by Andrew Kevin Walker and Kevin Yeager. Now, those two names are very interesting because Kevin Yeager is a special effects person, most famous for Chucky.
Of course, you'd know that.
Well, exactly.
You're a Chucky fan.
Ooh.
But no, he not only that he's had a huge career in special effects, but that's one of the more famous things he's known for. And then Andrew Kevin Walker was the writer of Seven. Now, I never would have thought the writer of Seven would be making a dark. Well, I mean, I could see the dark aspect, but like a dark comedy mystery of Washington Irving's Sleepy Hollow, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I never would have thought that. Thought it was kind of interesting.
I mentioned Seven.
He also did the makeup on Face Off. This
Yes.
Yeager guy did.
Yes.
That's interesting. Huh.
I like Face Off.
I'm just looking at his IMDb.
No.
I love Face.
No,
Off.
I meant movie. Excuse me. Show, movie, whatever. It's on TV sometime. It's a show with moving parts.
It's a moving show.
It's a moving show.
It's the moving picture show with Jeff.
Okay. Oh. Here we go. We're losing it again.
Wow.
It's all over.
Those talkies.
So we're bringing talkies in it. Talkies
Yeah.
with Johnny Depp.
Talkies.
Talkies with Johnny Depp, but we got the moving pictures with Jeff.
Moving pictures.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
All right, so this film though, I mean, I remember the original story. I remember watching this movie and I'm sitting there going, I'm like, wait, it was like maybe halfway through. That's when I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, this is nothing like the original story.
Well, he did keep some of the original Disney elements in there, like the frog. And I remember that right away when I watched it the other day. I'm like, wait a minute, that was in the cartoon where the frog sounded like it said Ichabod. And then the other scene where he's riding on the horse backwards, that's part of the cartoon. So he did take some of the elements out of the cartoon and kind of put it in this film. I would also think that the scene in which Brom throws the pumpkin at him to me was typical.
Well,
cartoon.
that was like the cartoon.
That was the cartoon.
I remember what else was it from the cartoon? I remember
Them riding with the pumpkin on their head was
Yep.
very much part of the cartoon because that's all the Headless Horseman did in the cartoon. He had the pumpkin on his head the whole time.
right. And I remember the cartoon. Now that was something about the trivia. It was like the cartoon. I think the story. Ichabod was not a very good looking person. He was tall. He was very
was just gonna
lanky.
say.
Big feet
Yeah, and really big feet.
and a big honking nose.
With huge nose.
Schnoz.
Yeah.
Big schnoz.
Yeah. They should have cast me as Ichabod Crane. Look at this nos.
I don't know, man. I got a big Mario nose, so I think that'll work.
Chris has got a pretty.
Every time I walk in a room, you hear did it. Oh, nope. Now we're gonna get a copyright strike for that one. All right, so and that was one of the things though. Johnny Depp actually went to we lost Josh.
Jep.
When Jep went to Tim Burton about the makeup, he was wanting to talk to him about making his character very ugly, use a lot of prosthetics and everything else. And Tim Burton told him no. He said we want this version of Ichabod's ugliness or unattractiveness to come from his etiquette and his squeamish.
And that's what killed me throughout this whole movie. You've got this guy that wants
I
to
thought
be
he was
scientific.
cuter with that.
He wants to be so scientific and he wants to solve these problems and these murders, but yet he's so squeamish he can't even look at the dead body.
Can you blame
Gotta
him?
look away.
I mean, he's got those big giant goggles on there, and he's getting a close up of a severed head.
And at the very beginning,
neck.
you see his hand shaking when they're talking about the horse.
And that it's just so endearing. I feel like they didn't make him ugly that way. They made him so endearing, where we're like, oh, poor Ichabod. Oh, let me just give him a hug.
Poor Jep.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it was, because even if he was super ugly too, I'd be like, oh, poor Ichabod. Let me just give him a hug.
See, either way, you would have just felt compelled to give him a hug.
Exactly.
I'd probably just want to give Johnny Depp a hug, just feel him around me.
He's probably such a nice guy. He'd be like, okay, here we go.
This is weird, but okay.
Thank you, Jep.
Yeah.
All the fond memories.
Great.
I think Jep's gonna stick. I think from now, every time I see Johnny Depp, it's gonna be like, "What's up, Jep?" Oh, Jep's in.
I heard a really fun piece of like the practical effects you were talking about. I guess, and I was watching it with my friend today, and she was like, when he's cutting up the tree, the practical effects workers purposely tried to squirt the blood into his mouth because it tasted so bad. And so after she said that, we're watching it, and then you get to the end of that scene, and there's literally blood all over his mouth and like not on any other part of his face.
They also were squirting blood
that's
at
fun.
him because he wasn't expecting it. So not only that, but he wasn't expecting the blood at all. And so when they started...
even better.
Right. And if you watch that first scene when that blood hits his face, he had no idea. That was real.
You see him jump too. He's
real.
kind of like, oh.
Yeah, that was real.
He jumps and gets a little upset about it. You can see it in his face where he's like, oh man.
That was real.
Tim.
That's probably what he's thinking. He's probably like, I'll never star in another Tim Burton movie.
It's like he purposely splashed him with blood throughout the whole movie.
Again, poor Ichabod.
What a jerk.
Throughout the whole movie, they splashed him with blood.
Just give him a hug.
Well, there's two directors that I know of that do their actors that way. It's Tim Burton and then it's Sam Raimi, which both of them use Danny Elfman a lot. So, yeah. Because Sam Raimi...
Who did the Alien movie, too? Was that Sam Raimi? No.
Which Alien movie?
The Alien movie, when the second one, when they pop out and like they didn't tell any of the actors that the alien
was the first
pop out
one.
of the guy's stomach.
No, that was Jerry
First
Goldsmith.
one, okay.
Yeah, that was Jerry Goldsmith.
Okay.
And that was a great score. And talking about that is one thing with Danny Elfman. You've never heard like a truly scary score. Now, there are a lot of moments with this score where the score is very scary and horrifying and terrifying.
Right.
And a lot of, shocking moments and everything else. But it never goes too far horror. And that was one thing that helped with the tone of the film, with the score, driving it and the way it moved and everything else. Because, yeah, Johnny Depp's goofy, and you get the blood squirting on him and everything else. But the score really helped sell that. Because if you had, like, a serious score right then and there, for those moments right there, it would completely kill the entire mood.
The movie wouldn't make sense either.
No.
We've talked about in the past that a score can make and break a movie, and I think this score paired well with the story of the movie, and it did a wonderful job conveying the story.
It did.
Of Ichabod Crane.
It did. It really did.
And it flowed so well with every single scene. You get into a different scene and the music just kind of carries you into it.
Right. It's not abrupt, when we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
we all listened to the score and noticed the continuity. It's the same in the movie. It kind of continues from scene to scene. And then when they start bringing in those delicate motifs, like the love story motif between Ichabod and Katrina, and then they bring in the motif of Ichabod and his mother, it still flows nicely. There is no, it's not abrupt, the transitions. It flows.
Now, Josh,
Yeah.
you said you listened to the score beforehand, before you watched the movie, right?
I did. I was before and after. Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this: when you were listening to the score on its own, I know you've seen the movie a lot of times because obviously you own it, just like Leslie and I both have seen it a million times. But listening to the score itself, could you ever picture either a different film or could you picture a different scene to the score that was playing?
Mm, maybe. It depends. It depends on the filmmaker. It depends on the movie. It depends on what they would do. I mean, I don't think so though. It's very perfect for what it is. And again, like the Ichabod song and the
Right.
Horseman song and stuff, they mesh so well with them that it would kind of be hard to put that with somebody else. So I guess the short answer would be no.
That was a great short answer.
Yeah, perfect short answer.
10 minutes and then no.
Well, every time I yeah. Exactly. Yeah, no. All right, so every time we do an episode, I'll listen to the score and I'll sit there and try to listen to the score and try to picture something else. And sometimes I can, sometimes I can think of something else. With Sleepy Hollow, I can't. Now, it's not that. I mean, the score has a driving theme and everything else, and it does, and it has several different themes. It has like a main theme to the entire film. It has a theme for the Horseman. It has a theme for Ichabod. It has a theme for Katrina, but it never sells it to the point where it gets repetitious. It never gets on your nerves listening to the score, especially even watching the film. You never hear the theme so much. You're like, oh, there's that theme again. Because we brought it up before, but with Beverly Hills Cop, it was like that. It was,
like dadgum theme. It just plays again.
Right. It still comes in there and it keeps driving it home. And the only reason you remember the theme because it gets stuck in your head because they play it so much. That doesn't happen with Sleepy Hollow. It has a recurring themes, but they never get annoying, and they all mesh so well that it's perfect. It works.
Danny Elfman, in my opinion, has his own style. Most of his scores, if I can tell it's a Danny Elfman score. I think that's great to have. I mean, as an artist, to know that okay, that's your art. That's you. That's your identity in art. I think that I would have been curious to see my opinion if I would have never seen this movie before and listened to the score and see what I would come up with. I've listened to this score and watched this movie so many times because the score is actually one of my top 10 favorite scores.
Oh wow, I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my top 10 favorite.
Sweet.
Well, as it should be.
So I think that I'm biased a little bit. When I listen to it because of that, and because I enjoy it so much. But I would be curious to see what somebody who's never heard Danny Elfman or seen the movie think when they listen.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'd be very curious.
Yeah, I would be kind of curious. I would be kind of curious about that too. Yeah. I would like to take a person who's never seen it and just play the score first, and then let them watch the movie and see what they think. That would be kind of interesting.
Very curious.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going to happen with the inevitable remake of Sleepy Hollow.
Oh,
it'll happen any time now. It'll happen any time.
Heresy! Stop.
It's gonna. I mean, come on. It's gonna happen. I bet I can Google Sleepy Hollow remake right now, and it'll tell me when it's coming out.
Don't do that. Do not make us cry on this podcast.
I'm not listening. La la.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be one of those reboot sequels. It's gonna be a requel and starring Sleepy Hollow, and it's just called Sleepy Hollow, but it's taking
Channing Tatum.
Oh God. Oh my God. Starring Channing Tatum as Jep.
And he dances.
Oh.
He
dances through Sleepy Hollow.
Oh my goodness.
Like Footloose.
Just call it Magic Sleepy Hollow.
And the bad guy is Kevin Bacon.
Oh my goodness.
And our mascot did not like that. See, that's why you should not be talking about that. That's messed up.
Oh my goodness. My mascot left me a while ago. She was like, oh, you're not paying attention to me anymore. I'm done with you.
Our mascot was asleep. I think our other mascot was at the door trying to get in and disturb Thomas.
Nice.
So
Are those Yorkies? They're adorable.
they,
That one is at least adorable.
He's like 5. I think he's 5 pounds.
yep.
He's party color, so he's not traditional colors because he's got more white in him than a normal Yorkie.
Okay.
And he is Measuring the Score's official mascot.
He's our official mascot and my baby. He's stuck to me like
Oh,
glue.
I grew up with Yorkies. I freaking love those
I
dogs.
do. They're very smart.
Every episode we've done, every time we've been a guest on someone's podcast, Thomas has always been there.
Been in my lap.
Every time.
I'm
Every
waiting for
single
him to
great.
talk and give me his
It's like
opinion.
Trev. Did you hear Trev earlier?
Yep.
Little Trevelyan running in here
Yeah.
yelling at me.
Your travel buddy.
Well, it's giving your.
Oh yeah,
giving their opinion
travel
on-
buddy, quote unquote.
yeah. All right, so
That little cat hates cars.
Well,
Really?
most cats that I've ever had hates cars. You put them in there, and then they start this hollow meowing sound that won't stop until the car stops.
Yes.
And you're like, be quiet.
It's like that
Please.
growl thing.
please
Yeah,
don't make that
it was-
noise.
I'm not.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not going
I
to
had
recreate
to-
that horrible noise.
I humanely drugged her. It's fine.
You gave her CBD oil, didn't you? They sell they sell
Maybe.
It at the pet stores. They do. They sell it at pet stores for the pet.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
So
Sorry, I'm
as we-
derailing again. I
it's
keep
fine.
doing this.
It's fine. It's fine. That's why we love having guests on, because we get so many different stories. I love it. So as we do with every
It is,
episode,
yeah.
as we do with every episode, we list it down to 3 questions. Now, I think we've actually mentioned or answered a lot of these questions.
Indirectly, yes.
Yes. You okay?
Yes. I have the hiccups. I have the hiccups.
I thought it was Jep coming out there for a little bit.
Maybe. Maybe I'm channeling the other. Who knows?
All right. So the first question is, does it work for the film?
Josh?
Josh, since
Yes.
you are our esteemed guest, you get to answer this one first.
I it has to. I mean, I don't think there's any other score that you could put behind this film, and it's kind of perfect, you know?
No, it really is. And so, Leslie?
Yeah, I agree. I think it works for the film quite well. I didn't see or hear, rather, because you can't see a score. I didn't hear any discrepancies that would cause it to not work. You know, to me, it just works lovely.
I think
There's no awkward parts or anything like that.
Right.
It's just it flows. It gets you to the end, and it's wonderful.
Builds tension where it needs to build tension. It creates whimsy. when it needs to
Exactly.
create whimsy. It's kind of got a little magical element there. I think it does it all.
I think it was terrible. It never
Yeah.
worked for the movie at all.
You're a liar, and the truth ain't in you.
Well, this has been fun. I'll talk to you guys later.
No, the score definitely works for the film. I don't think the film would have been as successful or worked if the score was not there. And it really did. It flowed so well. It really helped the story. It drove everything home. It sold the Horseman. It sold the gothicness. It sold the darkness and the gloominess. And even when toward the end, when they go back to, what is it, New York or whatever, and the music sounds a little bit more uplifting because the clouds are out, the sun is out, they're happy.
I thought it was snowing.
Was it snowing?
I'm pretty sure it was
Well, I
snowing.
mean, but still, though, I mean, there was a lot. It
was white.
It was lighter. I mean, it really was.
Yeah.
It was a lot lighter than Sleepy Hollow
They probably
was.
took that blue filter.
Right.
Oh, shut up.
Tim Burton's like, oh crap, we've had this filter on the camera the whole time. Oh my god, take it out of there.
Okay, I'm sorry. So it was still lighter. Okay, I mean, the sun was out.
I get you, Chris.
Oh my god. Anyways, let's move on.
We
It's
tired
pick
of
on
it.
Chris Day. I
It
guess.
really is. Jeez. All right. So, fine. We're moving to the next question. All right. So, Josh, what was your favorite score and what was your favorite scene?
Oh man. Okay.
favorite
So my
score
favorite
track,
scene
yeah.
is. I think my favorite scene is when the horseman comes out of the tree.
Okay.
When you first see him come out, all the heads kind of move out of the way, and then he blasts out of that tree. and kind of does his "Hello, I'm the horseman. I'm gonna go kill some people."
It's a me.
Like that. I really, yeah, I really really enjoyed that. And I have to agree. I think the final part, the final confrontation part of the score, is probably my favorite track. It's called the Final Confrontation. It's like the one of the in the windmill. That whole.
Yep.
Yeah. But it was such a good mix of everything. Like you guys were talking about earlier, just such a good mix of Ichabod's theme and the Horseman's theme and Katrina's theme, or Christina Ricci's theme. Was that her name? Katrina? Yeah. But all their themes just mixed together. It was good.
Which was interesting about that, because Johnny Depp felt a little weird being having her as the love interest, because he's known her since she was like 9 years old. So he thought that was a little weird doing that.
Well, luckily they never had any sort of like kissing interaction or anything like that.
I think that was probably.
I bet that was probably on purpose.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Johnny Depp is like, no,
No, I can't do that.
No way.
No.
Like a sister, no.
All right, so Leslie, what was your favorite score track and favorite scene?
So my favorite scene is when Johnny Depp sees a spider and he jumps up half off the wall and he refuses to get down. He refuses. He's like, well, you can come down. He's like, no, not going to do it, you know.
No, I mustn't.
Just kill it, please.
Yes, right.
He's like, here, help me move the bed. No, I mustn't. You do it.
You do it. Tell him to do it. I like that scene. It made me laugh. And my favorite piece goes back to the witch piece. I can't remember what was the title. It was titled something / the witch, I think.
Yeah,
it was
Into the Woods /
that's
the
what it
Witch.
was.
That's it, Into the Woods. I really like that violin piece that came in there because it is contrastly different than the rest of the score. You got I heard disembodied voices.
Don't worry about it.
It was just Jep.
I just have people
there.
locked in my closet over here. I'm about to
like.
go cut off the heads and
Bang on the door. Quiet. But no, you got that violin cue that come in there, and it was starkly different, but it was amazing. To me, it was just very delightful to hear that little nuance in that piece.
Yeah, I like that piece. It was pretty. It was a little different, but at the same time, it worked for what was happening and listening to it. My favorite scene, we already talked about it. It's the part where Ichabod is like a little kid in the corner, and he's just he's like, no, you don't understand. It was a horseman. He was headless, and like you were talking about how
a headless horseman.
And Dumbledore's like, I know. We tried to tell you, and I just love it. It was.
He cracks up every time when he goes, "It's all true.
It's all true." I love that part. Now, my favorite.
I have.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I just have
go
a question for you guys. Whenever you're done, I have a question for you guys.
Okay. All right. So I've already covered my favorite track too. It was the Church Attack. I really like that one, but I also like the Final Confrontation, like what Josh was talking about, because it too had a little bit of something that was a little bit different, a little bit, it kind of worked for the score, but at the same time, it kind of didn't until the Sleepy Hollow theme come in there. And, I like that track too. So for me, it was a little toss up between the Church Attacks and the Final Confrontation as far as favorite score. All right. So Josh, what is your question?
What was your favorite death scene? What was your favorite kill?
Oh.
I'll start. Casper Van Dyne when he gets cut in half in that bridge.
That was pretty cool.
That's total Starship Troopers right there.
Leslie?
All death. I'm trying to think. Really?
I mean, the uncle one, Uncle Dursley, was also.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
The only one that come out to my mind was the one that you just mentioned, where he just ripped that guy in half with the two. I think it was sickles. He was using sickles, and you just ripped him in half. And
yes,
that was just like the only one that really pops out, because the rest of it is like
Which,
head lob.
during that scene, Casper Van Dien, he actually fractured his finger, and he didn't tell them about it. He just kept filming the scene because he didn't want his scene to get cut. I'm sorry, dude. I'm like, I would start screaming and crying.
It's
like,
hardcore.
My finger, bro.
It's just like
I just
Leonardo
I
DiCaprio.
just wanted him to yell at some point. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Leonardo. I just wanted Casper Van Dien to yell, "Do you maggots want to live forever?" Like charge into the forest.
And the bugs are coming out.
So no, it reminded me of Leonardo DiCaprio and Django Unchained. Because that scene where he hit his hand, he was really bleeding. He hurt himself, and they kept filming. He just didn't stop.
And he did some crazy stuff with his bleeding hand, like rubbing it on people's faces. Like, could you imagine?
I'd be like, no!
Dude, get your blood off me now. Come on now.
But that's method
Come
acting,
on, Leo.
I guess.
All right,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
we come to our last question. What could have been done differently? Josh? As far as the score.
Christopher Walken's teeth. Oh, the score. Sorry.
Hey. Now, he went uncredited for this movie, so I got to give him credit. So he can have he can have his shark teeth if he wants.
Nor did he know how to ride a horse.
Yeah, he accepted the role.
Oh,
and took it.
true.
Yeah, he took the role and everything else, and then afterwards he was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I can't ride a horse."
They use a mechanical horse, I think, for some of his scenes.
A lot of his scenes, actually.
As far as the score, though, I think there was one tiny little like out of place. It sounded like a crash or some sort of percussion when they're fighting on the bridge. That Casper Van Dien death scene, or it's such a random crash that I think just take that out. That'd be the only complaint that I have. It's just one little tiny hit of an instrument in 1 second of the movie. It was just kind of it was jarring. Like when it happened, I was like, wait, I rewound it to make sure that I heard right.
Right.
And I was like, that's really strange to have that in that particular scene. It didn't work as well.
Leslie?
I don't know. It was weird.
Wow, I didn't hear it. Probably because I was paying attention to all the lightning strikes around the horse. Because in the film, anytime you saw the horseman come or go, there was a lightning strike. So, anyway.
That's true.
That is true. I never thought about that until you just pointed it out.
Yeah, there was a lightning strike anytime you saw him come or go. I like the score in its entirety. I wouldn't have done anything different, in my opinion. I think that it worked well for what he intended it to do.
Yeah. And I agree. Sorry, Josh. I didn't hear the random crash. I don't know. I guess I'll have to go back and...
We're going to have to go back and actually...
Yeah, we're going to have to go back and watch it just for that one.
I'm pretty sure it's there.
No, we're not saying it's not there. It's just...
Now we want to hear it.
Yeah, now I want to hear it.
Right.
Just to hear
I'm starting to question myself now, though. I'm pretty sure it's there.
No, if you rewatched it and you heard it again, it's there.
Yeah, it's definitely there. So, no, all right, so we're going to stop the podcast right now. I'm just kidding.
All right, we're back. You're wrong.
Jeez, Josh. The only thing I saw there was Jep and his horse.
Yeah.
Which Johnny Depp actually adopted the horse that he rode because they were going to put the
horse
down. Yeah, they were going to put the horse down, and he felt bad, so he adopted the horse. I thought that was really cool of him.
Gunpowder?
Yep.
Yes, and they said that the gunpowder had flatulence throughout the whole movie. He was a laughing joke of the movie. A farting horse.
Jep and his farting horse.
Right.
Sounds like a wonderful movie.
Sounds like a kid's book.
I could see Tim Burton
that too. That. Oh my goodness.
Oh man. So those are our thoughts on Sleepy Hollow. Now, Josh, you've got a ranking for this, I believe.
10 out of 10.
There we go. Leslie, what's your ranking for this? Out of 10.
The movie or the score?
All right. So, Josh,
I'm going both 10 out of 10.
Okay.
And it's mainly because it's just one of my top 10 favorite movies.
Yeah, see, I've got a nostalgia for this movie, so that's kind of hard for me to rank it.
Score first.
Of course, the score is 10 out of 10. It's within my top 10 favorite scores of all time.
Movie. Come on.
9.999.
Bar 9. No. No, I think
Score, I got to go with 10 out of 10 for me. Definitely. Because the score is just, listening to it again, it hit all the right notes. It hit every emotion that it was supposed to hit, and it sold everything for. So yeah, definitely 10 out of 10 for me. I'm going 9 out of 10 for the movie.
you suck.
I'm sorry. I'm
Wah,
sorry.
wah.
You ruined it.
Only because the story and everything else was great. It was only because there was a couple of scenes where the special effects just kind of did not
I don't
age
know
well.
you
But if you go
anymore.
back, if you remember 1999,
I do.
those special effects were top notch.
I love the movie. I am not saying that it just doesn't have that.
I was a
point.
junior in high school in '99. I feel
It
old.
even has, I was
Now-
a seventh grader or something. Like
feel so old.
it still had the Tim Burton like tongue and eyes pop out scene, and
Yeah,
it
that's
looked
the
better than
only
it did in
thing-
Beetlejuice.
Now I gotta give them credit for this. Now their practical effects, like with the heads rolling and everything, the heads still to this day look real. They look like they are that actor's head. Now
They killed all those actors.
yeah, that's
They're pod people.
That's why you haven't seen Casper Van Dien in anything since 1999.
They cut him in half right then and there. The guy that's in Starship Troopers 3, that's not him.
That was a robot in Lord of the Rings. It wasn't Christopher Lee.
Christopher
Haven't
Lee
you heard
didn't
of
die.
cloning?
Christopher
Come
Lee
on.
didn't die in this movie.
I'm saying it's pod people.
No, he was very very brief in this movie, and
Yes.
it's funny because it's all the voices. When Christopher Lee came on, I was like Dooku, and then the same thing when Dumbledore came on, I was like Professor.
Now, see, when
What's
this
happening here?
movie came out, though, these actors had never played those characters. So I remember watching it in
Right.
theaters, and when I saw Christopher Lee, I'm like, wait a minute, that's the guy from Gremlins 2.
He's like, who are these old people?
Old people, really?
That's
No,
hilarious. And it's
that
funny
is-
because episode 1 came out in May of 1999. So that was, I bet Ian McDermott, Emperor Palpatine,
Yes.
that was the most movies he's ever been in the same year. Ever.
That's funny.
Ever.
Ever. Now I'm gonna do the sand line. Forever.
Forever.
See,
Yeah, we
Josh
did
gets
that-
it.
We did that the other day to each other.
I'll just
We
randomly
did.
bring it up. I'll randomly bring up forever, and Johnny just, it's all true.
Yeah, he will. He'll say, it's all true.
So
Love it. I love it.
those are our thoughts on the Sleepy Hollow score and the film. And Josh, thank you so much for joining us here today. It really
Absolutely.
has been,
Thank you
it
for
really has
having
been
me.
a pleasure derailing with you, man. It's been great. I've loved it. Talking about Jep and Emperor Palpatine and Count Dooku and Uncle Dursley and of course Professor Dumbledore. I mean, it's been great.
I forgot Sauron.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Thank you guys so
No, I
much
said
for
Dooku. Yeah,
Oh, never mind.
he's the same guy.
Same guy.
Yeah,
He's,
exactly.
yeah.
yeah, same guy.
And anytime you guys want to talk a Star Wars score, just hit me up.
Well, now that you mentioned that, I guess we can go ahead and spoil this a little bit. Josh,
Oh no.
yeah, we're going to go ahead and spoil it now. Later in the season, Josh will be coming on,
Rejoining us.
rejoining us with Jesse from Sudden But Inevitable, and we'll be talking about Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yes.
See, he's excited.
We're excited. That's a
That's
fantastic.
so it's funny. Rogue One was the second podcast. Twist My Arm did a podcast on Rogue One when it came out, and that was the second podcast that Jesse was ever on. So if you go back to Twist My Arm and you go back to the Rogue One episode, you can hear Jesse as a wee little podcast lad.
I love it.
You may have
I
to
love
do
it.
that
I love it. I love it.
for our research.
So, Josh, real quick, tell our
Yeah.
listeners again where they can find Twist My Arm Podcast Network and the rest of the podcasts that you are associated with.
Oh man. I won't go into everything, but you can follow me on Twitter at Twist My Arm Cast. You can find us on Facebook. Just search Twist My Arm Podcast. Same thing on Instagram. And then if you want to find all the other shows, Sunbun Inevitable, Marvel Canon Madness, Quest Me, Intrepid DM Journeys, Best Flicks, Twist My Arm, all those other different shows, just go to twistmyarm.net. And then that's probably the best I got.
And as always, if you want to talk to us here at Measuring the Score, you can contact us on Facebook. Just type in Measuring the Score Podcast. You can find us on Instagram. Just type in, again, Measuring the Score Podcast. If you want to talk to us on Twitter, at Measure the Score, you can send us an email at measuringthescore@gmail.com. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple, pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts at. You can find us on there. Make sure to give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. We'd love to hear from you, even if it's a negative one. Just be honest. That's all we ask for. Leslie, you got anything?
Did you mention our email?
I did. Measuringthescore@gmail.com.
Apparently I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, so I talked about the email. It's measuringthescore@gmail.com.
I see what you did.
Did you know we have an email? It's at measuringthescore@gmail.com. You can also contact us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Not funny. I don't do technology. I am not technology.
I just do podcasts.
Yeah, I just do podcasts and rocks and stuff.
And rocks and stuff. That's right. I can identify unknown rocks.
There we go.
Rocks and stuff.
That's my special superpower.
So,
oh my God, you guys are great.
as always, for Measuring the Score, I'm Chris.
And I'm Leslie.
Have a good one.